Hey, I was Draco Dark Rider with...
Last Will.
Man, it's been ages since I've been on one of these things.
Yeah, this is a review I was hoping would go a lot better, but sadly it's not going to.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who watched it, I did a review a while ago on both of the other two Digimon games that are on PS4. Both DigimonStory CyberSleuth and Digimon World Next Order. If you haven't seen that review, I'll post a link in the description. Go check it out.
There's another video where us two are playing the two games.
Yeah, it's like I'll put that in the link in the description as well if you really want to. But like I did a review on that. A lot of people found it helpful, and when I found out that CyberSleuth was actually getting a sequel, I thought, great, let's check it out. Then the trailer finally came out. It looked amazing, and they finally introduced so many things that the first game was missing, and I'm like, this is going to be really good. But then it actually came out, and it was beyond a disappointment. Like,
Story was flat.
yeah, there was no story. Well, we'll get to that. I'm not going to tell you every little thing in the game, because for the few people that do still want to go play it, I want to leave some things to find out.
Small spoiler alert.
Yeah, I will add a spoiler alert to this video. Like, I'll probably put like spoilers in the beginning, just after our intro. However, this game is just such a disappointment. But this is pretty much the review of DigimonStory CyberSleuth Hacker's Memory, the sequel to DigimonStory CyberSleuth.
Yeah.
So, like, don't get me wrong, the game starts off pretty well. Like, while I'm talking about all this, just like the last review, you'll see clippers show up on screen. So, like, it started off really well. There was a great animated scene, and it looked really well. It looked like you actually get a better glimpse of how entering the digital world, like through the Eden project, it makes you look like how that works. It allows you to explore that a bit better, and at the same time it also gives you more of a entrance for all the characters. Like, for the four main characters, like, you'll see on screen that they get a bit of an interesting intro, but then you pay attention and they've been given the 4 card suits. Like, you'll see glowing around them will be like the spade, the heart, the diamond, and all that, depending on who it is. But you've pretty much got your 4 main characters. You've got yourself, you've got Ryuji, Erika, and Chikusa. The only girl out of the entire team being Erika.
Yeah.
But that's because she is one of the 2 main characters. Now, mind you, what you see in this first animated scene, hold on to that, because I swear to God, unlike the first game, that will be one of the only animated scenes you get through the entire gameplay.
I think you've told me there might be only 2?
From what I've seen, I think there's about 5 or 6 proper animated cutscenes, and all of them are very, very brief. You last maybe a minute to something like that with them, if any. That's for like the 1 or 2 good ones, that even if you can call them good. Like, probably the longest one I think would probably be the one right at the end, and that's probably the biggest dick move, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, I will mention some good things. First off, before you think this is only going to be a bad review, I will mention some good things. They introduced a lot of great concepts, including Digimon that we hadn't had before. For instance,
Armageddonmon.
Yeah, Armageddonmon and Chaosdramon. Now, if you guys don't know who they are, like, you'll see them on screen as well. Armageddonmon is the final digivolution of the Diaboromon path. Like, everyone was you've watched the Digimon movies, you would know that in the first Digimon movie, Diaboromon was the final. But then you had Armageddon. Now, this thing was an absolute monster. It technically is the final form of that line. Then you have Chaosdramon. He is in the same boat. He is Machinedramon's next evolution. Now, I don't know what would be the class above Mega, because there's been different animations with different like names for a form above Mega. I just call them over Megas, just so something simple.
Badass.
Yeah, and Chaosdramon is that, like, my favourite Digimon of all time was Machinedramon, and then when I found out from an MMO I play on computer, I found out Chaosdramon was a thing, and when they added it to this game, I thought it was amazing. And in the game, these two are overpowered, but too overpowered. Reason why I say that is this is one of the first flaws of this game. In DigimonStory CyberSleuth, when you fought the entire storyline the first time,
it was hard.
It was hard as shit. Like, the Legendary Knights were hard, and all of the battles you actually had to make sure you had plenty of healing items and stuff, because it was actually quite difficult, especially when you started to move to the hard rank, because then things would just... If you tried to do the first playthrough on hard, that was a challenge. But when you finished the entire game, you got to keep all of your stuff. However, even with your Digimon at like level 99, yeah, like max level, when you got to about
the Knights,
the 3/4 way mark where the Knights started to get really ridiculous, you still noticed the game was still difficult. Like, the game still gave you an actual challenge. Your Digimon may have been at their peak, but that didn't mean they were just going to make it easy for you.
That's why they made it actually harder.
Then you had the sequel, which is the exact opposite. Through your first playthrough of the game, of Hacker's Memory, don't get me wrong, it's difficult. I've had some difficult fights. The only problem was that all three of my most difficult battles throughout of Hacker's Memory
Side missions.
were side missions. And if that wasn't enough of an insult, the only time you ever fight two Royal Knights at the same time in that entire game is, again, on a side mission. And
it's for the most stupid of reasons.
yeah, so all three of my most, like, not even the final boss, all three of my most challenging fights throughout the entire game on my first playthrough were side missions. And the main story, most of it was, like, difficult, yeah, but not so much. Then I go to when you play through it the second time, what I had to do when I got all the clips for this game, like for this review, it was beyond easy. I mean, I might as well have been able to hack the game and set every enemy Digimon's level to 1. Because, for instance, I'll show a clip right now. You've got Crusadermon, who, in the first game, she was a bloody pain in the ass to fight. In this, even level 99 Digimon, she was still really strong against. You had to fight hard. In this game, you fight her and you are easily kicking her ass. Now, before I continue that comment, might I actually add one thing that I didn't say at the beginning of this, which I should have. The entire storyline of this game runs parallel to the first game in the same world.
So technically your actions in this game don't do me nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. When you're fighting Crusadermon in Hacker's Memory, is literally just moments before she goes off and she fights your actual main character in the first game in these sewers.
So pretty much, in Hacker Memory, your hacker guy, he was just a warm-up.
Yeah, the hacker, while the hacker guy, the Hacker's Memory guy, he kicked your character had Digimon that seemed like they made short work out of it, yet the exact same fight later would be difficult as shit. And it's like, what? Then they introduced a Digimon. This guy is overpowered as fuck. You have finally got Apocalypse.
Oh god.
Now, Apocalypse, if anyone knows, is the Gen 1 final boss.
Big ass delete button.
Yeah, he was the final enemy in Generation 1. Now, here's the problem though. There's making a Digimon powerful, then there's making him overpowered.
And very easy to get.
Because, as anyone knows that plays the game, Digimon that you get at a best case scenario, your Digimon will max, when they get to their final level, your Digimon will probably max out about 3,000 to 3,500, maybe if you're lucky, 4,000 health. I've never seen that, but it's a possibility. Apocalypse has a fixed his special attack has a fixed damage of 444, and that hits every foe in battle. So if he's on your team and your opponent has their 3 Digimon, every time he uses his special, it does 444 damage to all the enemies, and it has no recoil. So if he's somehow fast enough that he can have 2 or 3 attacks in a row, you can keep doing that and stacking that damage. And that's not even including your other 2 Digimon. And Chaos Dramon, for instance, he has a secondary attack which shoots a claw out of his arm that ends up doing massive damage and do the ability to do poison, which can sometimes do about like 1,000 to 1,300 damage.
And if the opponent Digimon have one of those defense perks on, it does more damage.
It does almost twice as much damage. I don't know if that's actually supposed to be part of the game, but it is. And it is beyond overpowered. If you have either Armageddon or Apocalypse at the start of a playthrough of that game, you will not need any other Digimon. I am serious. Like,
you can have a suit. You could have probably a Patamon sitting next to him.
Yeah, it's like, or you could have any other Digimon and just make that a healer, and the other 2 will destroy every single enemy you will ever come across in that game. And I mean, that's beyond stupid.
Hints and plans for if you get the game. Hints and plans.
Yeah, it's like, in CyberSleuth, I had to have my first team really good, but my second and third team had to be perfectly able to switch over with them. I could set the other 8 spots in my team for Digimon I'm leveling up and have Chaosdramon, Armageddon, and Apocalypse in my team, and all I needed was them. Because all I needed was one of them to heal every now and then, and the other 2 to clear house, and then the third one would clear house every now and then as well. Because Apocalypse, he has again a widespread attack with his second attack, which allows him to hit all foes for massive damage and has a chance of inflicting confusion. Or in this game it's called panic. It's amazing, and his ability if he was in the first game, he would have made it stupid because his ability allows it that while he's in battle, every Royal Knight takes 50% more damage. It's like, what? Now, getting back, like, as I said, the storyline runs parallel, so, like, although there's, like, gaps here and there, you have to realize that the timeline's still the same, so while you're fighting, you'll notice hints here and there to show you this, but all of the storyline of this game technically applies to the other game, and everything you're doing is pretty much most of it is just showing you little things that happened in the other game, like
how this guy got down power for you to do in one game is how he did it in this one. Why is he a bad guy in this one? Because of this.
Yeah, Arata, if anyone has played the first game, Arata got hit on the most wanted list, and this game tells you why, but it's such a small detail. It's like,
oh really? That's interesting.
Who gives a shit? And that's the point. That's most of this game, giving you unneeded information that doesn't really matter. Like, there's only like 1 or 2 things, actually interesting facts of what happened in the other game.
What Eden is truly, that was interesting to me.
Yeah, it's just like, it's not like none of it, except for like a few things, none of the information you're getting that involved the other game even bloody matters. And even then, there are things that are questionable at most. But as I say, getting back to the fact that I want to mention some good things with the bad, they did introduce a lot of new concepts. For instance, you'll see on screen now, they introduced something called Domination Battle. Now,
Interesting.
yeah, a Domination Battle is literally like a team-based turn-by-turn board game. What happens is you either have to get a certain amount of points and or defeat a certain amount of people. Usually it depends on, you have to kill the entire team, but that only happens once. See, the way it works is you have your board with your enemy, you have a starting point. You can, if you're on the same level, you can move 2 spaces. If it has to go up a level, it's 1 space. If it's, and that's pretty much your turn, you take turns moving. You'll see points on the board. You either A, get enough points that's required and then you automatically win, or you just knock out the opponent's team. It's pretty interesting, and it's
A new concept.
It's actually quite a new concept and quite fun, as well as there's another thing that they introduced called, if I remember,
Capture the flag?
yeah, I forget what they call. I think it was like a territory battle, but yeah, it's pretty much capture the flag. Yeah, so the way it pretty much works is like, if you've ever seen Capture the Flags, think of that like but more widespread. You're pretty much fighting on a digital server like you would like pretty much both games have. But the way it works is there's a certain number of flags on the map, and whoever controls them gives the opponent a bad buff. Like, for instance, there's some that while one team controls all the flags, the other team is poisoned when they enter battle, or when they're paralyzed when they enter battle, or their attack or defense is lowered. Something like that. There's always a debuff that's always put onto the enemy of the team that doesn't have the flags. So so you have an option. You either A, can go straight for, like, you have to probably fight some people that are blocking you, but you either A, go straight for the boss and fight with the weakness of whatever the debuff is, or B, you can actually use this to get experience, like, experience and get level up your Digimon by going and fighting the different people and capturing each of the flags. And when you've got all of them, then you go for the boss, and you'll know which one is the boss because he'll not only have an exclamation point above his head, but when you talk to him, he'll be the one that's like, "This is the boss. Are you sure you want to fight him?" And it's like, yes or no. So, like, if you capture all the flags, the debuff will be affected to them, and then you can fight them. And I find those are really good, and there's an extra reason to do that. For the people that will be playing this game, I will give you some helpful advice. If you ever come across those territory battles, play them all, and I mean every single one of them, for the simple fact that during the final point of the game, like when you're about to do the final fight area, before you go into that, you're in that same room that the underground area where you fought some of the evil Royal Knights. That same area, you'll notice that there's a bunch of people waiting for you that they've set up. At least 3/4 of those people are the leaders of the teams that you were fighting, because they're actually going to give you items. Like, I think there's about 9 or 12 of them, but each of them will, like, one of them will give you a revive item, one of them will give you a healing item, and it goes on like that.
Good stuff.
So it actually they all give you a bunch of
Freebies.
shit. Yeah, they pretty much give you a bunch of freebie shit to help you with the fight that you're about to go into.
So you don't really need any of it.
Yeah, which is really good. But at the same time, it's like, it can be a bit of a pain in the ass.
Ooh, tell them about the, in the first one, everyone should know about the firewalls. Tell them about the firewalls in this game.
Oh yeah, if you played the first one, you would know that there are some areas that are locked off by firewalls, and to get to the next area, you must use one of your abilities to code break them. That's fine. Yeah, you break the wall. This game, like you'll see on screen now, in this game you actually fight some firewalls. And I'm not kidding, there are literally just walls of data, not Digimon, just firewalls of data that you actually fight in this game. And speaking of which, that actually brings up another stupid point of this game. In the other game, everyone by now would know the cheat that I mentioned in the last video with the Platinum Sukumons, where if you have one or two of them in your main team when you're running around fighting, they give you a shit ton of more XP because that's their ability. If they're holding the EXP USBs on them, that's even more. That's great. In this game, it's beyond stupid again. By the time you reach the halfway point of this game, and that's before things go hectic, this game actually even makes that is it's good, but pointless because with two Sukumons in your main team and both of them having like if you have like one Sukumon holding two EXP USBs and one holding one or one holding two, the way it works is I found that per battle, and I mean just wild battles while going through the main story, I was getting like 20,000 XP per battle, if not more.
Sheesh.
And I'm like, okay, it's good, but do we need that much, really? Really, people, really? But, in the end, I guess it's just people's preferences, I guess.
Yeah.
But then we have, like, as I said, there are some good things, like, you get a bit of mystery, like, you get to see this character called Kay. He seems like a real badass, and then you find out that, because, like, your pretty much motivation for this is some guy stole your account, you end up joining up with some hackers to try figure it out and find the guy. You end up finding the guy and found out that he's actually the one that stole your account and is now parading as you under a mask. And you find out that's actually your best friend who has been through, like, you've actually talked to quite a bit in the game, who looks a lot like a trap. It's really weird. There's even points in the game where you can turn, like, this thing I didn't tell you. There's even points in the game where you can turn gay. There's a point in the game where you can turn to him and say, "I love you." I am not kidding. Like, nothing against that, but really?
Equality, I don't know.
Really? I'm like the reason why I'm not accepting this point is because there is a running joke throughout the entire game, and it is so stupid. Through the side missions and main missions, you will hear too many damn times about people making comments on how single you are, how bad with getting girls you are, how much you suck at relationships.
I'm gonna say something. And your preferred senpai to your guy is the guy who tries to teach you how to.
Yeah.
And he gets his ass kicked.
Chikusa, the blonde-haired guy that...
We'll show you a video of it, the interaction video now.
I don't know if I have the actual him finding date system, but I don't think that's necessary to show them, because that was just boring.
No.
But literally, there's actually an entire mission where you're not doing anything, you're just going and asking, like, you pretty much watch him go up to date from the original game, which is a police officer that's very much a tomboy. He tries to hit on her, she kicks the shit out of him, then you have to go and try it yourself, so you walk over to another girl, you literally stare at her for like 5 minutes, and
doing a weird face when he does.
No, he just stares at her. He literally just stares at her.
And I thought Creepamon
He's just like this,
bad.
he's just like...
And I thought Creepamon was bad.
And then finally, after like a few moments of like ... it's like finally you can do one of three things. You can either like pull a funny face, there was a second option, and then there was it's that weird fish face one where you're like, you just look off to the side with your fish face and all that. And apparently I always choose that one because the first time I did that, it made her laugh, and apparently I got her number. But then immediately says you failed afterwards. I'm like, bitch, I just got her number.
Yeah, game's confusing.
But anyway, going back to the whole animated scene though, now, on screen now, you will see the original thing from DigimonStory CyberSleuth, the original game. You'll see the epic fusion between Omnimon's two components, it's Metal Garurumon and War Greymon. You'll see this epic fusion. It looks amazing. And I have to say, it's probably one of the best animated scenes out of that entire game, even though there are so many good ones. In this game, no. What do you get? You have your, you'll try to see it on screen, you'll have your character running, big gust of wind, okay, nah, I can't see, looks up, then you see literally Omnimon's back, and end scene.
But dang that back though.
Yeah, it's just like, he was so epic in the first one that he doesn't need to show epicness in the second one. It's like, yes, he fucking does.
It's Omnimon.
I mean, I even don't like the fact that the one time they give you... I'll show you this on screen at one point as well. They even show the fact that when they finally give you a DNA Digivolve fusion in this game, it's between Angemon and Ankylamon. Now, these two turn into Shakuamon, which looks pretty cool, and normally their fusion would be amazing. But
it's funny.
Instead, all that happens is you have Angemon riding on Ankylamon's back into battle like he was like, charge! They run for a little bit, then they both shine, shoot up in the sky as a twinkling light, and then Shakuamon crashes down. That's it. And it's not even like big epicness around them or anything. It's like, you just wasted like 5 minutes of my time on the world's crappiest effort at a fusion. I mean, I would have much preferred them to dance their way to a fusion than that. And that would have been even more ridiculous. Though it would have been enjoyable.
It would have been.
I would have to
My
say
personal favourite, the Fusion Digivolve, for me, my personal favourite is the Mastermon one.
the Mastermon one. Now that was amazing. Like, there is a certain type of girl fusion one in this game, but we'll get back to that later.
Oh, that one.
Oh, that was painful to watch.
We'll get to that. You'll understand how paying for that one.
But yeah, the discount fusion of this game was just beyond stupid. And it's like, why would you take such an epic fusion graphics that you had given the first game and give the other game nothing to respect? I mean, don't get me wrong, after all things I've mentioned so far, when I played it the second time just to get all these clips, I even paused for a moment and tried to look online. I thought this game might have had a chance to be a side mission. Like, the entire game was just a side story to the original game. It is not. This game is its own, apparently original story that just ties and connects to the other game. But it's not a side story. And it's like, well...
They could have done so much better. Even I'm saying, out of these two games, I would actually play Next Order.
Yeah, out of everything, it's like, Next Order, although its deaths and all of its other flaws made it suck all shit, at least it had a great animation, great storyline. It tried. It had a lot of failures, but it put in the effort to try. This game, it's got so much potential, but it never tries. It gives you all this shit and never tried. Might I add, Apocalypse, just to make a quick note on him, I just told you how overpowered he was. He is the biggest badass of Gen 1. And he only requires one stat requirement to just get to him. All you have to do is, like, being the biggest thing, he's supposed to, like, you have to be level 99 to get to him. 4 different megas can get into him. And he only requires the ABI to be at 120. Now, if you don't know what the ABI is, you can pretty much look it up on the internet, or I believe I might have imaged it in the other video. Go check that out. If I didn't, you just have to Google it. It's actually quite easy. It's not like anything too complicated. It's actually one of the things they have.
It's pretty much you get it when you digivolve them.
Yeah, when you
It goes up when you digivolve.
when
to
you
Demon Ring.
it goes up when you go digivolving or digivolving. It just depends. But yeah,
Do we get on the enemy?
yeah the
enemies?
yeah the enemies are still eaters.
Nom, 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 nom,
I
nom.
mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against them, but I might want to add the final boss of this game, as you'll see now, is an eater. It's called an eater legion. Like,
It's a tree.
yeah, it pretty much is like a giant eater tree. Now, this would be awesome. This would be amazing, except for two problems. First off, it not only is its battle repetitive, where like literally when
Lava, rinse, repeat.
when you pretty much fight the big tree thing, the way it works is you get it down to like nearly nothing health, then it changes its mode and then you just continue the fight. You'll do that like 3 or 4 times, and then after the third or fourth time, then it dies. But you also get no XP, I mean nothing, from this fight. This is the final boss. You do not get any items, any XP, anything from this fight. You still get like the screen that comes up when you normally would get XP, but it's like 0 XP, 0 yen, 0 items. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Explain.
It's like that's the final boss and supposed to be the most difficult thing in the game. Why would that not have XP attached to it?
Or an interesting item.
But here's the thing though. This is probably the most potent point that pisses me off, except for one other thing in this game. It means nothing. This battle means nothing. The reason why I say this is if you have played the original game, you know that your main character goes and fights at the end of the game, goes to the digital world and actually fights the source of the eaters, the Mother Eater, the one that has infused itself with King Drazel in the digital world. So, the big Legion Eater tree that you're fighting now, you could defeat it, sure. It doesn't mean anything. The world's still going to be saved. This is all going to end. You have done nothing. You wasted the last, like depending on how long the game the game timeline actually is, you've just wasted all of this fucking time on a fight that has no meaning, no purpose, does not contribute any way to the survival of anyone.
Actually kills a person.
Oh,
Technically.
Actually kills a person. We'll get to that.
That's the second point. I thought I'd bring it up early, but...
But, literally, you're not even the main hero, the one that everyone will remember. Because no one will remember this. We'll get to that again. But, let's put a pin in that, and we'll come back to all of that monstrosity in a sec. Now, this game went a little bit of loops. Now, have you ever had a game that was so blunt you wanted to smack it? Like, so bluntly obvious on which way it was going that...
A hammer looks sharp.
Yeah, that a hammer looks like it could slice bread. And I don't mean crush it, I mean thinly slice it as if it was a surgical blade. Because throughout the game, the group of hackers you're working with is called Hudi. Now, I actually respect this. It's actually quite inventive. I believe the sister and her brother came up with the name because it's another name. In another language, it means butterfly. It's quite interesting. And not only is the team called Hudi, but it's like they kept it pretty simple. The way it is, like their main color is just like a nice blue butterfly logo, and their team is Hudi. That's fine. It even gives great artwork when it comes to the PC, because they've upgraded that a bit. The problem is, though, they couldn't be any more on the fucking nose with that, because later in the game, as I said, there is another fusion, because Erica, the girl, her, pretty much, she has a disease throughout the entire game that you find out about. She has a disease where her brain actually processes twice as fast as most other people, and it has no way of cooling down
Or forgetting it.
or forgetting it. So she can actually have to go to the point where her brain is filling up with so much information, like a hard drive. You fill it up so much, it eventually is going to crash. So she goes on an experimental program run by the evil company that literally, on a server of Eden, she actually has her own server with a memory bank, and every now and then she has treatments where a bit of her memory and stuff gets taken out and put into that server, but she's always linked to it at all times, so it's like having a backup drive for your memory. Now, she has to have this every now and then, and getting to the point where, like, you'll see, I'll pretty much show this now, you'll see this big hentai thing, because, like in every one of these games, there's a big
thing.
There's a kind of, like, hentai thing in this game.
Bloody Sharon number 1.
Yeah, so in this game, she was actually able to get some data off the eaters, make little eyeballs of to follow around and be like something she could control. When she has a little seizure type thing, and it takes like she's about to lose control about it, like because of the disease thing. They swarm her. It looks a bit hentai-ish.
One kind of gets jiggy with it.
Yeah, one goes too far between the legs.
You'll see.
Yeah, you probably would have seen just by now, and her body turns into the Eater Legion that's going to become the big tree thing later. The problem is though, while that thing is absorbing itself into her memory server, like later on, her mental data ends up after a bit of a thing, the mental data from that server actually fuses with a Wormmon that's been throughout the entire game, and creates a blue-winged butterfly humanoid Digimon called Hudimon. I shit you not. You would as I'm saying this, you're probably seeing the clip, but literally, they couldn't be more on the nose, and it will be brought up again later, but literally, they make it so that, okay, you're working for a hacker team called Hudi, your main color's blue, and it's a butterfly logo. Let's make it that the girl turns into a blue-winged butterfly humanoid Digimon called Hudimon. Because,
why not?
that's clever! No, that's fucking idiotic.
Oh, and the Wormmon has the most feminine voice, but it's a guy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it forms into a female Digimon.
Oh yeah, if you play this game and pay attention to the Wormmon's voice, and notice how it sounds so feminine, but then to watch the way people talk, it has one of the most girliest voices in all of the damn game, and yet it's a dude. And it still becomes a female Digimon with the girl. They fuse still into a female humanoid butterfly Digimon called Hudimon. It's like,
Dare to be corrupted.
fine, let's push this over there and off the cliff, off there. But as I said, there are, getting back to some good things about the thing, is, as I said, they had some they explored a bit with this game. Mirai is back in the game as well. She, you actually the girl ends up hacking you into her little room, and then she gives you permission by giving you the details to her server so you can still use the farms. That's actually still quite good. She's actually quite helpful. The only thing is that her cats actually be more active in this game than they were in the other game. Because while, I know they're Angel Woman and Devil Woman, but they actually have a bit of fun, because early on in the game, just before you find this room, you'll see by now, the two cats actually dick around with you, how where a white one will walk through a path, walk through somewhere, vanish, and then the black one will walk out later. They do stuff like that, and it's they just decide to be a dick for a while until finally one walks off, where you have to follow it to try and find the area that the server's in. It's okay, cats are assholes. Cats like to be assholes.
I don't mind the part, because it's no woman.
Yeah, well, still. And don't get me wrong, there are a few good animated cutscenes in this game. Like there is they introduced a interesting little side thing. The only actual storyline that's relevant to this game doesn't start till like mission 11, and there's only 18 missions, I might add. This also ends about like mission 17ish, but there is a Digimon called Arcaniumon, I believe it's called. It's literally, if you don't know what it is, it's literally one of the only Digimon throughout all of, well, Digimon, that keeps its name throughout all of its evolutionary track. So, from in training all the way to Mega, it is still called Arcaniumon. It just has a little side thing, like Incadimon in training, Incadimon rookie, Incadimon champion, so on and so forth. No idea why, but it's kind of interesting. So sure, I'm not going to show it, but its first form looks like demon sperm from hell. If you play the game, you'll see why. But yeah, like you'll see probably on screen now, one of its, like when one of the cutscenes it's in, it looks menacing. It looks monstrous. It actually is probably one of the best animated scenes from the entire game. It lasts very little, but it leaves an impact. That's one of the only ones I don't mind being short, because it leaves a good impact. But still, it doesn't take away the fact that there's nothing. There's this little storyline out of all 18 missions. There's this little storyline that lasts like 6 missions, and even more so, it's not as difficult the second playthrough around. Because second playthrough around, you can flog these things easy.
If you have the team in the beginning.
Like, if you're one of these people that put all of your strong Digimon from the past playthrough in the box and get new ones, I respect that. Why not? That's a good way to go through it. But still, they also experimented with some stuff in this game that I wasn't particularly thrilled about. I should say that it was interesting, but they went a bit darker with this game. You actually see a lot of people, like, some of them are fake, but you actually see a lot of people die in this game. And I mean literally die. For instance, the first thing you'll see is this woman. Now, she actually she was going into a thing where she would constantly steal things from an aquarium, like tanks, fish, and all that. Literally copy them into data, return them, but then put that data onto her own server. She created her own full server in the virtual reality so that she could create an actual replica of that entire aquarium.
Was going to be demolished.
Yeah, because she wanted to remember it, because the place that she remembered was actually getting remodeled to be like half a kind of casino type thing. Now, so I guess it was okay. It's fine until you realize that her main goal was that when she finally finished her server, every tank that she had returned had a bomb attached to every single tank she returned. Now, this is when it gets out. This is when the clip will finally start to play. But when she's standing in that aquarium, she actually is on her server after all of it's said and done. She's about to push the button to delete the original by blowing it up. What she doesn't realize is your boss, the older brother to Erica,
The asshole.
Yeah, your boss throughout the game technically, he rigged it. He not only attached malware to her server that would be like a self-destruct and erase everything on that server, he then linked it to the frequency of the detonator. So while she and her mind are on the server, she pushes the button and kills herself. Because for people that haven't played the game, when you're on Eden, you find out more about it in Hacker's Memory. When you're on Eden, it's like Matrix. Your subconscious and mind in your body are two separate things now. If the only difference is, if your body dies, your mind will just be trapped on the internet. If your mind dies, your body is pretty much dead.
Potato.
Now, in knowing this, he did that anyway, and when she pushed the button, she erased and destroyed the entire server, killing herself in the process.
That's kill count number 2. There's still one extra there, what is actually a bit of a dick.
Yeah, now, here's the other thing. You'll probably see it, like, in a moment, but, the other scene that has actually been more shocking is the fact that there was a scene where this kid had bought what was called the Mole program. It was a program that pretty much allowed a person to take control of another person's body as long as it was hooked up, while that person's mind was on Eden. So, while an entire class was on cyberspace with them, their actual minds on cyberspace, they're all, I think it was like 40 or something, of the students were being controlled by the one kid digitally with his, technical skills. Sure, that's actually quite interesting. That's a bloody smart kid. The only problem is they treated him like shit. So, it'll probably start, the clip will probably start now, but literally, what he does is, he decides he's had enough. So he types what he wants in. Every single kid in that class decides to stand up from the test, walk over to the teacher, beat the crap out of him. Then every kid in the class pulls out knives, which I don't know why every single kid from a school would have a knife.
It's not America.
It's Japan.
They're really strict on their rules.
They all stab the crap out of the teacher, and if it wasn't clear, they actually show that graphically through paint. Like, they go to a black screen where it looks like paint's been thrown on it that's pink, because throwing pink paint on the screen makes it all better. And afterwards, he then walks all the kids up to the roof and slowly first it was 1, then 10, then every single one. He makes them all jump off the building to their death. And that paint thing, they did that even more. Jump, thud, splash, next 10, thumbs up, splash. Then the rest of them, literally, you hear sound effects. You see the splatter things on the screen. They may not show you any of the gory things, but it's dark as shit. And I might add, all the kids from this class are literally watching their bodies jump to the death, and pretty much watch as this guy makes everyone kill themselves. And if that, you think that's as much of a dick as it can get. No. What thing they don't realize is that your character and your boss already knew about what was going to happen and already knew about all this. So what did they do? They waited till everyone was on the server. They locked everyone out of connecting to the server, and then using the girl's ability as well as some hacking skills to kind of get the fantasies of what this guy has been wanting to do and put it as a movie. That's literally what they did. Everything that they just watched was all fake, and this pretty much your boss literally put on a fake movie, allowing to scar all of these kids for life, watching them all stab their teacher and kill themselves, just to teach one kid a lesson, and the other kids not to be bullies.
Your boss is technically an asshole.
Your boss is beyond an asshole. And I'm like, that's an interesting way. That's an interesting turn. Bit dark, but interesting nonetheless. I wouldn't recommend putting that in a PG game, because that kind of that's borderline psychological horror. I mean, you just pretty much I'm talking about school kids, by the way. You just pretty much let a bunch of school kids watch themselves jump to their death after stabbing their teacher, and while you yourself don't see anything, you have to remember that what you're seeing and what they're seeing are two different things. The game wouldn't actually show you what they see, but everyone would watch them actually kill their teacher and watch themselves actually jump to their own deaths. So they would have had much more of a graphic view on everything.
Yeah.
It's just God damn. Really?
Are we getting to the biggest
Oh no.
ending yet?
Oh no, here's something that's even weirder than
Oh,
that.
God.
There is another side mission where something beyond stupidly weird happens. Now, if you've played the first game, you would know there's a cafe on the top level of the mall that you work in. In this game, that cafe's still there at that mall. Now, the thing is though, you learn out in a later mission that the coffee owner actually knows about Digimon, like completely. He's a twisted sick son of a bitch, but I say that because of what the mission's about actually. You're pretty much hired by a girl because she heard about a secret amount of coffee, blah blah blah, she wants to find it out, blah blah blah. So you go, you have a drink, you both pass out, you wind up in cyberspace, and after fighting a big mushroomon, he tells you, anyone that finds out about this amazing drink, and usually only regulars can find out about it, what he does is he knocks them out, puts them on cyberspace, so he can extract the memory of them having this amazing coffee and their excitement of it, make them forget about it, and if it's too much of trouble, make them forget all about the coffee itself. And if that wasn't enough, he then sells it to highly rich businessmen who can't drink coffee to make a shit ton of money. And your character still allows himself to get his mind erased to continue this. Yet you actually allow yourself to be affected by, like, have your memory tampered with by this guy as he all of what you've just seen is erased. You literally, the last thing you remember is sitting down and having a coffee. You don't remember the girl you were with, you don't remember why you're there in the first place, you don't remember anything about that exact mission. The only thing that happens is you wake up in the chair, and you think that you were working too hard so you fell asleep. And then he just offers it to you one coffee. That's it. It's like, what? You allowed this?
And I feel so evil about him. I thought he was so good in number 1.
Yeah, it's like, he seemed like a bit of a pervert, but he seemed like a really good guy. Then you find out he's actually a twisted son of a bitch. And if that wasn't the only time things went a wee bit weird, there was also a bit where, if you all remember Yuko, she is one of the main characters from the first game, has badass for like 3/4 of the way for like half the game. She has a machine drum on because she's acting as Yugo, the pretty much digital avatar of her currently sick brother. And later on she gets a different final form of the Agumon evolutions. It looks awesome, it looks amazing. But as a bit of perverted weirdness, in the newest game, we have a little mission where you have to get a specific data, so you actually get to use her avatar, meaning you literally walk around as her in Eden. Like, your mind in her avatar's body, and mind you, it's really, really fucked up. Like, you do nothing, but still, I mean, that's like every male's favorite dream. Like, I guarantee you, if your character gives that game to any character and give them free reign, I guarantee you they're gonna spend an hour not doing the mission they're supposed to. If they had free reign to do anything in this game, I guarantee you, I know what they would do if they were in the body of a girl, especially like Yuko. It's like this Japan hentai. Yeah.
Talking about those people.
Yeah, it's weird. There's even a cat fight. I mean, for God's sakes, there is a cat fight.
Sure.
There's this I'll show that scene now. Erica and the green-haired business chick who turns out to be Crusadermon from the first game. They are on the roof, and while Crusadermon's still in that human body, she and Erica have a literal cat fight, kicking the shit out of each other for a little bit, while you and the detective from the first game, who is awesome, are just standing there just like...
Should we interrupt this? Should we stop this?
That's literally, a policeman came over there and said that, and literally the detective's like, no.
I'm not doing that.
It's like,
I
you,
like to keep 'em.
it's like, trust me, you don't want to be in the middle of that. You will just end up getting hurt. Because, like, the detective's not a pervert, but at the same time, he is smart. He is not going to mess with that shit. He's like, nope.
The little blue-head chick, oh, what's her name again?
Erica.
Erica let you flip the green-head chick over her arm. Over her.
Yeah, she got skills.
Now we're going to have fun talk about the servers.
Now, as you know, there's plenty of servers, like, funnily enough, the one thing that I kind of found disrespectful that the game did to its predecessor is that you'll notice very quickly 95% of all of the music, background imagery, areas you fight in, people you meet, and all of that is pretty much cut and paste from the last game. I mean, I'm not joking. Most of your missions are still done in Kulong and every other server that you would have done in the other game. The only difference is you have like 2 or 3 different new servers just like that are one-offs, and yeah, you get an entire new Kulong area called Under Kulong, which, don't get me wrong, the final area has great imagery, but it still sucks all shit. And in saying that, the one thing I should have probably mentioned earlier, you actually get new abilities in this game that are amazing. I mean, for instance, like, if you have the right team, some of the abilities you now have access to at all times is, there's Frigate, allowing you to return to the beginning of the dungeon entrance, so you no longer have to use items for that. There is Acceleration, allowing you to actually run faster in the game. There is Visualization, allowing you to see all traps in the area. What were some of the other ones? There was one other that was really good. I can't remember what the other. There was another one, I believe, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, there was quite a few really restore items there, because there's a few nature Mr. Navit or whatever they call the bot. There's a few of them broken around the area. You can actually go to them and heal them. You can, and if you heal, like if you restore the broken ones, if you can restore all of them, that's an achievement. But they all give you items when you restore them. So it had that really good promise. But in saying that, like, except for like a few things here and there and a few little adaptations to the music, it's really just cut and paste. It's the same shit. Don't get me wrong, it's not that bad, but you could have been more original. Like, you could have had, like, I don't know, more areas, or like
Newer
areas or music or stuff like that. It's like really the exact same stuff except for a few things here and there. Really? But one thing that was also there is their servers. Now, when I said that Erica had a memory server, when that starts, when you actually need to help her with that, because like when the eaters are actually attacking that, or when it gets shut down, you need to help her with that. You actually can go in. Now, for imagery, she has probably the most amazingly weird ones. And I say that as a compliment because while it's similar to to a side mission you had to do where you had to enter another guy's mind, in her one, while you're running through these areas, you'll probably see all these clips right about now, like you probably would have been seeing them already, but while you're running through her memory server, like her actual mind server, you're actually seeing all of this amazing imagery that's related to her in the background. Like, first you see her crying, like sitting down in space, and then she opens her eyes, she's crying, and then it shows her sleeping in bed. Then she wakes up and it's her going with family and everything, and then she has an accident, like, and you see things start to turn a bit darker. You see a more depressing scene where it's like replaced her with that toy she has and sitting in the hospital, before an amazing scene that looks like she entered the digital world, and it has such great imagery. Some of it really beautiful, some of it really dark. It was amazing. And meanwhile, while this is all happening in the background, you actually have a single path that you run across while it's all happening. So it's like, it gives you that depth, showing you that the server you're on, you might as well be a tic-tac. You might as well be this pissy little thing while there's an amazing background going on behind you. It's like there's even times where you would want to stop and look at the background just because of how amazing it looks, to be honest.
But me with that one.
But yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, it gets really weird at some points, but that's in a good way, because it's different. It looked amazing, but if they didn't do the whole game like that. They did that only for the servers, and that was like for a small portion of the game. It's just like, if they had have done that uniqueness for the entire game, it would have been so much more interesting. But yeah.
Oh, there is another thing. Didn't you say you can get different clothing? Like you
Oh,
can change
yeah.
clothing.
In this game, you have the ability to constantly change your outfit, so you don't have to always wear the blue jacket thing that you've been wearing to the entire game. Instead, you can wear different shirts. Sometimes you can even get the shirt DLC shirts and all that come with other stuff. And hell, there's even DLCs that you can get either from this website that you get a link to in the case, as well as one that you get in the PSN store. But the PSN store is the one you want. If you play this game, go to the PSN store before you once it's fully up, if the game's fully up, go to the PSN store, and there is something called an NX. Buy that one, because that will give you the cutest fucking thing you will ever see. I'll probably show it on screen now. It will give you a Chibi Galliantmon and a Chibi Alphamon. Now they cannot D or re-digivolve. They're literally stuck as two tiny little megas. But by God, are they amazing! And if literally, by the time they're level, they're high level, they are very overpowered. They're not anywhere near Armageddon or Chaosdramon. Or not Chaosdramon, Armageddon or Apocalypse. They're nowhere near those levels, but they are still pretty good. But
Deciding.
and they have twice as much resilience to paralyzation, sleep, and confusion. They have 0.5% less of being even affected by them. They are that resilient. So they are so worth playing when you're fighting with a team. For my first playthrough, the Galliantmon and the Alphamon Chibis, they were part of my main team with Machine Dramon until I got to Cashmon. They were part of my main team. They kicked the shit out of everything.
I'd say his attack was adorable. It looked like he was trying to shoot people. What was it?
Alphamon, yeah.
Because
some of their attacks, some of their attacks shrink down to more their level. Galliantmon, when he does his lightning joust, they actually give him this big epic show with it. He does the charging thing, but then they actually give him this rock that he stands on that's just big enough for him, and that's what he shoots off, and it's oh, it's so cute.
And the Alphamon looks like he just literally brings out a saber of light to I'm gonna shink ya!
Yeah, every time he did that, he said, I'm gonna shink you. But this is all good until you get to the main dick of the game.
The ending.
Yeah, Digimon games in general usually always end with a happy ending, or at least a sad but understandable ending.
Yeah.
Now, when I said that Hudimon, let's go back to that pin. When I said that Hudimon was what was created from the mental data of the girl and Wormon, yeah, sure, that's fine. You use her, she actually helps out and fights the main Eater boss thing. That's pointless.
A little thing will help, but a disease is slowly killing her.
Yeah, here's the thing though. Once you defeat the final boss, literally, your final mission throughout the entire game, the very final mission you do before you end the game, is only to do one thing. Save her. Your only mission is to go to that server and do whatever you can to rescue her and bring her back. You not only do not do that, they take it 2 steps too far. Because, first off, when you finally do, kill the main boss, she gives everyone a nice heartfelt farewell, but then she forcibly kicks Chikusa and her brother off the server, so they get kicked back into the real world. And then when she's about to do the same to you, you grab onto her hand, which then allows you to be transported to a similar light tube as you saw in the first game. Like when you finish the first game, you're in this huge light tube talking with Alphamon about how you like it's all about to end. But yeah, because what happened in the first game was they pretty much tell you that the world's gonna split now. Everyone from the original world are gonna forget that the Digimon world ever existed, and it's kind of like gonna put a barrier between the two worlds just to make sure that everyone stays safe. Now, while in this game that same thing still happens. However, while you're in that light tube, first she contradicts herself. She says that she can't go back even if she wanted to, and then she says even if she did go back, the disease would slowly kill her and she doesn't want to lose all those memories. So she literally says she can't go back, but then she says she can go back, but it will kill her if she does eventually go. Like if she eventually goes and stays with us, eventually that disease will kill her, and she doesn't even want to try to find a way. She doesn't want to lose those memories, so fuck it. Now, that is not where my issue lies. This is probably the biggest thing that pisses me off about the game, is that when they call the game Hacker's Memory, you don't realize how much until like in the beginning of the game. The game's called Hacker's Memory, and in the beginning of the game, just before the guy goes to the cyberspace, he says, "This is my story." You do not know how true those words are, because when he is talking to her, and she pretty much just says, like, you try to convince her, she says no. She says she's gonna go to the digital world and live her life as Hudimon, pretty much leaving her old life back. And she does appear in other games as, like...
I will get to that later.
Well, we probably won't need to bring up Next Order, because we said it was a game not to be played.
Okay, I'll tell you now. In Next Order, if you get to, I think, sadly I've played this a lot, chapter 12 or something around there, you actually see Hudimon.
Yeah.
She don't say nothing, she sees you, sees, oh wait, humans are here, and she runs. I got to there again, I ran after her. Literally, you don't talk to her, she doesn't, she just runs. Through a barrier you can never get through. Well, I don't know if you can get through because I haven't gotten any further yet, because my damn Digimon keeps dying on me. But hey.
But still, it's like, so pretty much she's gonna live her life as the Hudimon, and yeah, okay, that sounds pretty cool. What you don't realize is they didn't just do that, they took an extra step. What they actually did was, when you go back to the real world, you soon realize that the digital world wasn't the only thing erased from everyone's mind. She has been erased from the timeline in full. I mean, to the point where you find out the reason why she's in the situation she's in a way is because her and her brother's parents would die in a car crash and all of that. Well, her parents are in this timeline, her parents are alive. Her brother doesn't even know she existed. No one knows she existed except you. And how do you know? Like, you're probably seeing a clip right now. Like, you'll see a clip right now. But what's happening is,
you're walking in, your friends are talking.
You'll see a clip where you'll probably see a clip right now. It's like you will be walking out of your office. Like, you'll see your friends are walking. The trap is now a part of your team. Everyone forgets that she existed. As you're walking out, a blue shining butterfly, if it wasn't so much of a nail driving into your head already, it flies past you, flies down the hallway, across computer screen, and as it's flying across computer screen, all it says is end, and shows digital, like, first gen digital moving images of the Digimon you had in your team when you finished the final mission.
And in the middle of where the E is her and her Wormmon.
Yeah, and the way it works is, just before that, like, if that wasn't as much of a dick move as possible, when just before you like that butterfly flies past you, as you probably just saw, the reason why you know she existed is the fact that while everyone else doesn't know who she is, you are in the storage room that used to be her actual room, and you see your actual character shed a tear. The only reason he'd do that is if he'd know and remember everything. So, to put it to perspective, there is no more, like, in this world, like, the virtual world Eden thing doesn't exist anymore, and no one remembers about the digital world except for you. So your character now has to live in an entire, live in a world where no one, not even her own brother, remembers that this girl ever existed, a person that you made a deep connection with. None of them are not the brother, not the best friend, not anyone but you even remember she exists, and you have to live in this world smiling at these people day to day, knowing that the biggest person that you all cared about, no one but you will ever remember. And if that wasn't so much of a dick move, that's where the game ends. That's after the credits. Like, that's not a before credits cutscene. That's after. You have the credits show up, then you have that show up, then it goes back to the top, like it says, do this, like, ask you if you want to save, so that way you can make sure you can unlock the new save plus. Then it ends. It literally stops there.
Best thing on the screen, it says end.
Yeah, literally on the computer screen, all you have is it saying end. Nothing else. You don't have it saying, like, the end and gives you a nice little story. It just ends right there. So when the game's called Hacker's Memory, it's literally saying that, oh, this is my story, and this is the memory on how the girl I cared about and the girl that I had made a great relationship with, as well as the girl that my best friends both loved and pretty much befriended. She doesn't exist anymore except in my memory and in the digital world, which no one knows exists or has access to.
So pretty much it's not a happy game, it's a very melodramatic, sad game. What really kicks you in the balls at the end
And
of it.
if I might want to go to the point that how your mission means nothing. Your entire game means nothing. And if I'm trying to drill that in as much as I can, they have made it so that your final boss, most of the bosses you fight, the entirety of the game, that isn't like, except for like those short little few missions where it's fighting that virus Digimon from this game, except for that, majority of this game means nothing, because it's either it's just something you do leads to certain facts in the other game that mean pretty much nothing, or you're fighting a final boss who's not even the source of all the evil and is going to be dead anyway, because when the main character from the first game defeats the leader of the Mother Eater anyway, not only will all the Eaters just return anyway, not only will the world separate anyway, and not only will Eden still not exist anyway, but you still go through fighting it and get nothing out of it. Like, there is literally no point to play it. Like, don't get me wrong, it has a lot of amazing features, but every game kind of needs one major thing. A plot. Like, a point to the story, like an actual story to play the game through, and an actual point to the storyline and point to the game.
If anyone starts arguing, your point was to save the girl, and remember what we have said. You didn't save her.
Yeah.
She is she is stuck in the digital world.
Yeah, it's like,
you did not save her.
I will I'll remake that point. Your final mission, your only final mission, is to with her brother and her best friend. You are to go to that server to save her. No, none of you, all of you know that disease will kill her eventually, and all of you know that you will have limited time with her. But all of you are willing to still go there and save her for the simple fact that you want to bring her back to be with her as long as possible and still find other ways to save her. Not only does she not give you that chance, you fail in every aspect of that, and if it wasn't too much of a pain in the ass then,
You remember it.
yeah, instead of like that just being it, everyone forgets she existed, so you doubly failed in saving her, and you're the only one on Earth that remembers it.
Seems kind of like a punishment to me.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you could argue saying that technically the main character from the other game remembers it all, but he wasn't there for all the dickish things of that last mission. While you were fighting this thing, your main character from the first game was off in the digital world fighting the true evil. He is the one that everyone's going to remember, both in digital world and in the human world, because he's the one that literally fought and killed the main source of evil. And it's like, where's the point?
And all the things, I understand where it's going, but I really badly want to see that guy meet this hacker guy and they realize, oh wait, we can remember that. We can remember. Can I tell you my sad story? That's what I think. Is this hacker guy telling the other guy what he can remember?
But that's actually one thing that I didn't mention to you either. Do you know you run past him several times?
You do.
This is how you know, especially that this is one of the clues that the storyline are parallel, because, like, for instance, one of the times you walk into Naneko, which is the mall that the detective's agent is, you see the legs of someone running past you that are identical to someone that you played as in the first game. Secondly, when you are chasing some guy that's hacking accounts and is kind of possessed by a Growlmon, after you defeat him the first time, he runs off. When you find him the second time, he's been already defeated by someone, and I wonder who. Maybe it's the same guy that, I don't know, you played as in the first game and fought the exact same guy in the exact same area. And there are several parts of this game where it's exactly like that, where you see your character, that you don't actually see his face, you see the bottom half of him, and you just see him walk off as you're walking in. You literally walk past your other character. It's like, what the hell is going on here? So, in long story short, this game is not worth getting.
Yeah.
I have played through all of this Digimon game. I have to say, it is probably the biggest letdown I have ever seen throughout an entire game. Like, I have played the first game extensively.
Oh.
I recommend it to anyone. The sequel sucks so much. I would much rather go through Next Order, where your Digimon has a chance of dying every 13 days.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It's literally like, you can have as much great content in the game as you want. If you do not have for a game that needs a plot, if you do not have a plot or a storyline to go with a game that makes any sort of point,
Doesn't work.
it makes no fucking sense to play the game. If you do not have a plot, why would you play it? And if your final boss gives you nothing, if you fight the final boss and it gives you no XP, no items, nothing.
And the end credit is you saw the end credit.
And the end credit, it just shows you failed the mission, and you're entering a world where the person you cared about the most is literally dead to everyone but you, and you will never see her again. It makes you wonder, what the fuck is the point in buying this game in the first place? So,
Did you have the Digimon one in the first one?
well, that's pretty much the only point. But that's what I said. You can have a lot of great content, but if you don't have a point to it all, then you pretty much kill your entire game. So, as I said, you probably, as I've shown you with all the clips that you would see in the video, although I love the new features that they've added to the game, there is no point to buying this game, and to be honest, I actually don't recommend anyone buying this game. You can buy this game if you want, just to see for yourself, because it is kind of interesting in parts. But in long story short, this game is not worth getting at all. I have both the digital copy and I got the disc version just so I would have both. And to be honest, it was a supreme waste of time, and I guarantee you played the whole game once. The second time you play through, you will not even have to pay attention. And the one flaw I found about the first game, the only flaw I found in the first game was the fact that, of course they spoke in Japanese, of course there were subtitles. The only flaw I found was that you had to click X between every sentence that they made. Like, every time they made a sentence, to get to the next chat box, you would have to click X constantly, so you couldn't just, like, sit there and let them talk. In this game, they kept that still. So, the only flaw I found in the first game, literally the only one, they not only kept that in, they just added a million more flaws, and literally not much benefit. They took away half the great things about the first game and put them in the shredder.
So pretty much, this hand represents how good the game is, and this represents how crap it is. We can see which way they're going.
Yeah, it just was such a letdown, and I was looking forward to this game for freaking ages.
Oh yeah.
When I played all of CyberSleuth, then I introduced it to him, we both loved it. Yeah. I still love it. I still play it. But then when we found out Hack and Miss Memory came out, we saw the trailer. The trailer looked amazing.
Trailer misleading.
The trailer was misleading as shit, because when you play it, it is so lack of content that it just sucks 7 shades of shit. Probably even more colours than that. But in the end, I guess I should stop ranting about this, because it's a supreme waste of time, to be honest. Long story short, to just be honest, I don't recommend buying this. It's just beyond stupid. Like, if you haven't played the first game and you want to find out about it, look at the description to this video. I will leave a link to the first review I did, which was insanely popular, about CyberSleuth the Next Order. Go watch that. That had all the information you'll need about the first game. This second game was just a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong, I can't believe they had so much and did so little with it. Like, you might as well have just, like, had a bunch of keys and rattled them in front of a toddler. That's about the same thing as this game. It's just like, they work so well, so it's like, look at the shiny, look at the shiny.
Oh, I can jargon, that word's coming out very well.
Yeah. So we'll leave it there. That's pretty much all I'll have to say about the rant. As I say, if you want to, still feel free to check out for yourself. I do recommend, if you really want to go through it, in some cases it's better than Next Order, but in many cases it sucks worse than Next Order.
Story-wise.
Yeah, story-wise, because at least Next Order tried.
It has a solid story, except the death count is annoying.
Yeah, so if you want to go check it out, feel free. But in the end of the day, like, with the lack of cutscenes, with the lack of effort in story, with the lack of story, and overall dark, horrific things for a PG game, it's really just beyond not what a Digimon game
should be.
Yeah, it doesn't have a happy ending. It shows horrifying things that would not normally would be fine if there was an actual storyline to go with it. It's just
the shocking things, or side missions.
Yeah, so we'll leave it there. Enough rallying for now. We'll probably leave the review there, so leave a like and subscribe, my friends. Check out the videos, and I do recommend, if you haven't seen the first review, check it out.
I'll watch it.
Because that will give you a clue of the first game and how amazing it is. And we shall see
you. Gameplay? Look at the other video.
Yeah, if you want
to
see gameplay, we did do each half an hour on Next Order as well as CyberSleuth, so check out that.
CyberSleuth one.
Yeah.
Much better.
So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, my friends. Check out the videos, and we shall see you in the next vid. Thank you and goodbye.